everyone, and thank you for tuning in to E-Comm Elevated. I'm your host, Pete from Soapbox. We made this show for listeners like you and mine who are looking to grow, build, and succeed in the e-commerce industry. However, this landscape is consistently changing with new players, ideas, and business models being introduced daily, which at times can be a lot to manage. That's why we sit down with industry leaders to discuss their tips for success, reveal their secrets of the trade, and so much more, which you can use to elevate your business above the competition. Welcome, and I really hope you enjoy the show. We all have challenges and setbacks that we overcome on a daily basis. However, there's one we face at multiple points in our professional career, and it alone will determine whether or not we're ready to take that next step in our own personal growth. And that's our own self-doubt. We can all agree this is something we deal with from time to time. And self-doubt, if left unchecked, can become a huge demotivator and just really spiral rapidly out of control. Our next guest has been no stranger to self-doubt, and he's here to share some words of advice on how we can better manage this plague that haunts so many of us. Please welcome the founder and CEO of Stikit Charge, Jackson Weinreb. How are you doing today, Jackson?
Doing well. Thank you for having me, Pete. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is such an important topic. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. Being a young entrepreneur, I like coming on, being able to share my story and just kind of, talk things through.
Yeah, and we've all fallen victim to self-doubt from time to time. But before we get into this heavy topic, I want to talk a little bit about your brand and really what is Stikit Charge and when did you get started?
Yeah, absolutely. So Stikit, in terms of the product, it's a small portable wireless phone charger. It simply just, adheres or sticks to the back of your phone or phone case. So it kind of just provides a convenient charge, anywhere at any time. Gives you about up to a 50% charge per usage. And we made it so it's rechargeable. So, you can reuse it and you don't really have to worry about the stick fading away because it comes with a cover to, help protect that. And the idea initially formulated, crazy enough, when I was at the end of my freshman year at Indiana University. So I was 19 years old at the time. And that's when the idea came to be and, just kind of started plugging away and then, and, here we are today.
Yeah. And, you were 19 in college at the time. That's phenomenal. I mean, me, myself at 19, I was just trying to find a job, right? You're on a whole nother level, thinking way past your years at this point. Tell us a little bit about your journey while you were in school and how the idea actually came to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It is funny. I think that this truly was an idea that was ahead of its time. When I say when we thought of this idea, because I did have a co-founder from Indiana who I went to school with. And when we thought of this idea, like iPhones weren't even wireless charging compatible. So we were ahead of even like iPhones even being able to support this. And so when we first started plugging away at it, we were creating a business model strictly for Androids. And it's just kind of funny because obviously like in today's market, we cater to, iPhones, like that's the smartphone dominated market. It's just so funny to see how times have changed. But again, we thought of it at the end of our freshman year, and, just started kind of plugging away. And I think that the aha moment for us was like, we thought of this idea and a week later we pitched it to this engineering student who bought it right away and was like super excited about it. And for us, that was just like, okay, like let's actually do this. Let's go for it. And then, lo and behold, we're students, but we're also working on this idea, just kind of being entrepreneurial about it, talking with as many resources that we were able to gather at the time, whether those were professors of ours or, utilizing our business school resources, just, whatever we could do. And then, obviously, this idea extended past graduation, but it was pretty cool to, be a student, but then also be an entrepreneur at the same time.
Yeah. And I have to give you some props here because I can only imagine how difficult this was, right? You have a number of distractions you face daily when you're at school. We won't name those, partying, things like that. And, and not to mention the endless words of advice, right? You were talking about it. You talk to your teachers, you talk to your fellow students, and everybody has some type of input when it comes to your idea. And how did you manage those? Because I can only imagine it's not always the most positive feedback.
Yeah. That's for sure. You don't always get everyone to love your idea, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think that it is the, let's call it constructive criticism that helps shape your idea,
Yes.
in the best way possible. And so I think there are two types of people. There are those who actually do give constructive criticism with your best intentions in mind. And there are others who just want to hate on you and your idea and, for whatever reason, don't want to see you succeed. And that's fine too. You gotta be able to play the field and anticipate, what type of person you might be talking to. But ultimately, as an entrepreneur, you need to kind of keep your eyes on, what your goal is, where you want to get to, and along the way, kind of use the advice that you get from various people, whether it be a friend, someone in your family, or a teacher. Again, it's you meet a lot of interesting people along the way. You meet a lot of people with some interesting thoughts. And, like you said, sometimes it's not always going to be what you want to hear, but I think that it's really about, kind of taking the advice with the most optimistic approach, to kind of keep pushing forward on, what it is that you are passionate about and, pursuing this idea.
Definitely. And with so much certainty out there, right? Entrepreneurs tend to, gravitate towards other entrepreneurs. And it's just because everybody's like-minded individuals. So how do you choose the correct people to surround yourself with? You went from school to, a way into your own professional, development and your own business and brand. You went from 0 to 100 really quick. How did you really find out if these people were there for you or, were there for themselves?
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing when it comes to that is, it's not about them believing in the product. It's really about them believing in you. So when you're able to meet somebody who it's like, yeah, this is a cool product, but more importantly, I would invest in Jackson. I would invest in Stikit, sure, but it's you who I believe in. And so there are many people like that when you can be passionate as an entrepreneur and pitch your idea. And when you get those types of people, those are the people you need to keep in your corner. And honestly, a specific example of this, my brother had connected me to someone, back when I was probably in my sophomore year of college. So still early on with the idea. And he just like I said, it was less about Stikit. It was more about, he just took such a liking to me, and would just, really then just kind of never had any sort of equity or anything like that in Stikit, but took this almost ownership in it and was so supportive of me every step of the way, was just open for me. I could call him at any time when an issue came up. And it's really people like that who are rare, but when you do come across them, you need to keep them in your corner, because those are the people through good and the bad. They're going to be there for you, and, they're going to help you, kind of problem solve at any step of the way.
Yeah. And you actually touched on it. And I think I have a motto in my life, and I think this really projects on what we're talking about here. And in this world, I found that, there's people that enter our lives really can categorize into two different types, right? They're either going to be a lifter, someone who motivates us and pushes us to achieve our dream. And then those that are going to be draggers, someone who's only going to cast doubt and really can cause us to change our own self-ambitions. And you being at 19, man, you're such a malleable age at that time. I am really so, astonished that you were able to push through all that negativity and find a really good mentor to, back you up as you go through your journey. Now, do you have any suggestions on what people should do to find that type of mentor, or any areas that they should be looking to find someone like that?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, there's no resource out there that exists that says this is just a list of good people, connect with them and they're going to support you. I think what it is just being curious and being, kind of eager to kind of pitch your idea and get feedback, because you may pitch it to 20 people and 19 out of those 20 people are going to be draggers or drifters, as you might have said. But there's going to be that one person who's like the diamond in the rough, and they're going to be a huge supporter of you, a huge supporter of your idea. And they're going to be people who are, they're going to, be in your corner for as long as, you want to keep running at this idea. So I would say, always be curious, always be asking questions, and always be pitching yourself and your idea. And that's really the best way that you're going to come across, those good types of people. Because to be totally honest with you, if I just stuck to my friend group pitching the idea, I probably wouldn't have kept going with Stikit. Because honestly, my friends were, and to this day, I have friends who I still consider good friends, but a lot of them were not super supportive about Stikit, thought I was crazy. We're in college at the time. So maybe being an entrepreneur and going that route versus, the traditional get an internship and, get this certain job working in this field after school. Maybe I was breaking the mold. So they just weren't too receptive to that, and that's fine. But again, it's got to get sometimes outside your comfort zone, outside your circle to find the people who are valuable and that you want to keep around.
Yeah. And that actually translates over into wanting your own brand, right? And this really pushes into your third tip here. And that's thinking outside the box. You're trying not to be so cookie cutter, and you're trying to, do something new. And this is huge, right? When it comes to creating your own brand, but even more important, when you're trying to stay ahead of your competitors. Tell us how, thinking outside the box has helped Stikit stay, successful over these last couple of years and, continue to be successful in its future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, the first way we started thinking outside the box was, our original idea was for Stikit to be a one-time use credit card size phone charger that would just stick to the back of your phone. You get a charge, peel it off, throw it out. Quickly realized for many reasons, and I still think to this day that's not possible, that specific idea. And so we had to pivot, we had to get creative. We had to think outside the box. And that's, through R&D, through iterations, we came to, the product that is today, where it's, maybe a little bigger than a credit card, but it's still convenient size. It's rechargeable. Initially, we're thinking it was a one-time use. So, we got creative and we, rebranded the product and came to a product that is today. And then once you actually have that product, now you have to start thinking outside the box of how you're going to sell that product. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they're starting out, are really excited about, their product, and even more excited when you're in that phase of, we're just about ready to hit the market. Like, there's no way this can't work. Like, it's going to be successful. And you just think that, sales are going to magically come in because, it's time. Like, people, even you're paying for Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, all these ads, put it on Amazon, like you're just going to get sales. And to be honest with you, I was in that position too, where I was like, probably going to be successful as soon as we hit the market. And we were paying a decent amount for advertising leading up to that launch. Long story short, we obviously weren't too successful when we initially launched. And it was like, okay, now we need to pivot again and think outside the box. Okay. People aren't just coming to us on Instagram. People aren't just coming to us on Amazon. It's not this thing that happens overnight. And so that's when, I kind of started approaching a different angle to it and went like a more wholesale route. So I went to various catalogs and said, hey, I'm Jackson, founder of Stikit. Would love to get into, your catalog. And, they would operate like a drop ship model where maybe their clients are buying it for $25 a unit. They're buying it from us for, $15, $16. So we're giving them, like a 40% markup. And that model really worked. And there's so many companies like that, that kind of act as like a middleman, and they have these existing marketplaces. So it just made sense to tap into them. And it was up to, me to kind of like realize that and just kind of, put my creative hat on, put my sales hat on, reach out to them directly and, get Stikit in front of them. And, we had huge success going that route.
Yeah. And it's huge. I mean, like you're talking before, pivoting is essential when it comes to a business, especially a startup. And I think we all put all our eggs in one basket when it comes to opening our business, right? We put everything into plan A and it's always going to succeed. And it comes to the point where if plan A doesn't succeed, it's okay. We understand that it's not going to work all the time, but it's important to continue to grow and, continue to mold your product for its, for it to sell and for it to actually hit, your customers' market. What are some things that you looked at when it wasn't selling that gave you the idea of going that wholesale route and, can help our listeners do that as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, like when it wasn't selling just, by being on our website, and that's what really prompted me to try to find new avenues. So it was really what sparked this kind of like wholesale, aha moment for me was specifically I had, one of my brother's friends worked for one of these like corporate gifting companies. So essentially the corporate gifting model is, these gifting platforms list various products and various pricing tiers, And then these corporate clients give their employees gift credits to go in and buy gifts. So we started by getting, listed in their catalog. And then when we saw that instant success, that's when I was like, okay, who are all your competitors? And so I got, my list of competitors from my brother's friend, reached out to all of them, did obviously my own research as well. And it got to the point where I wasn't even thinking about like a direct to consumer sales process anymore. Like I was so focused on wholesale because of the opportunity that was there. And it really made me realize how there's just so much business to be had outside of, the traditional Amazon or, social media marketing. And that's where I really put my focus and energy. I think my partner stayed a little more focused on, the D2C side. He really wanted to build a lifestyle brand. That was totally fine. But at the end of the day, your company, you got to make money. And so I was, determined to, get our revenue flowing through a different source. And, that's really what I did. And, that one specific platform that we got listed on, the first one, last holiday season gave us a, pre-order of 30,000 units, to kind of meet their holiday demand. And that was December of 2021. So, within our first year of launching. So I would have never thought, within 12 months of launching, you'd get, that type of volume come in. So it was really exciting for me. And again, just kind of came back to the whole, thinking outside of the box and exploring, different avenues for the business.
That's amazing. And, that shows that just putting in the hard work and not stopping when you're, the first setback or the first challenge and, pushing through that. That's really what it takes to be an entrepreneur, right? And CEO is for you continuously pushing forward, continuing to look for that additional revenue that's coming into your business. You starting off at such a young age, what's the one thing you wish someone had told you before you got started and thought going into becoming your own CEO and your own boss?
Yeah, I would say like, I wish someone just told me to, don't let age play a role in terms of like what you can accomplish. I could talk to someone on the phone when I was 19, 20 years old and they'd have no idea. And so I think that if you can kind of carry that confidence of, just you're an entrepreneur, you're not a kid in college, you're not a kid who just graduated, like you're an entrepreneur and you just need to push forward with your idea and, present yourself in that professional way. And so don't let, the thought of how old you are limit you. Because again, by the time I was in my junior year of college, that's when we secured our first investor for Stikit. We got an angel check for $100,000 and all that communication, because I was at school at the time, was, had over the phone. And I found out like a year or two later that investor had no idea I was in college. So that's why it comes back to how you portray yourself and how you present yourself, in a professional manner. Because I think that if you have the mindset of, I'm just this young entrepreneur, you're going to come off as that. And so it's all about, having the confidence to, just kind of declassify yourself and just be you. And you're an entrepreneur with a great product. So go out and sell it and pitch it and, just have that passion behind it.
I love it. I love confidence. I mean, that's the one thing that I think everybody needs to really, take in is just be confident in who you are and what you have to offer, and everything else will fall in its place. You've shared a ton of valuable information for all ages and all groups. And I really thank you for being on our show today. It's been a huge pleasure to really just talk to you and pick your brain a little bit. Do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, again, thank you, Pete, for having me today. And, final thoughts to anyone listening, I would say, if you have an idea, just be passionate about it, pursue it, make sure, you're surrounding yourself with the right people and, bringing the right people onto the team who are, regardless if they have 1% or 50% of the company, they're equally as motivated, because I think that's the best way to, have success in a startup. So just keep pushing forward and don't let anything or anyone stop you.
Great words of advice. Thanks again, Jackson. It's been a pleasure, and you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you, Pete. You too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again for listening. We hope you'll use some of the insights provided on today's show to elevate your own business's success. As always, listen and subscribe to E-Comm Elevated or follow our Soapbox social media for more amazing advice. I've been your host, Pete from Soapbox. Have a great week, and we'll see you in the next episode of E-Comm Elevated.